Good to go. Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call the October 4th, 2023 regular council meeting to order for the town of Comox, and we respectfully acknowledge that we're standing on the traditional unceded territory of Comox First Nation. My name is Shelley Rusworm, corporate officer for the town of Comox. And because both the acting mayor and my apologies, the mayor and the acting mayor are unavailable to attend the council person, council's procedure bylaw requires that the members present elect, appoint, and alternate acting mayor to chair the meeting. So with that said, would anybody like to make a motion? Moved by Councillor Brent, seconded by Councillor Hazlett, then Councillor Blacklock chaired the council meeting. Any discussion? And all those in favor? And the decision is carried unanimously.
Thank you very much. Welcome, everyone. I know we have two members of the public with us today, along with various staff, and we'll get going right into our regular council agenda. First item is the adoption of the agenda. All in favor? Carried. Second item, we have no delegations this evening, so our second item will be the adoptions of the regular council meeting minutes from the meeting, our last meeting, which was Wednesday, September 6th. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Next item, our council committee meeting minutes for the Strategic Planning Committee, last held on September 13th, 2023, be received. All in favor? Thank you. Now we're into our consent agenda. There are a number of items, A through N in our agenda. Does anyone have an item they wish to poll for discussion? Okay, let's do that first. Can we receive all the letters first? Moved by Councillor Grant, seconded by Councillor Kerr. All in favor? Okay, all letters are received. Now, are there any that would like to be pulled for discussion? Mayor Minions.
Thanks, Councillor Blacklock. Chair Blacklock, my apologies for missing tonight in person, keeping my germs at home. I just wanted to pull letter A from Jennifer Pass from the CB Elders, take action on accessibility committee if possible, if I can get a seconder.
Seconded by Councillor Hazlett. Go ahead.
I was just wondering if we could get a staff update on the last I heard, I believe we were going to be taking a regional approach with the accessibility committee. So before kind of asking a follow-up question, I'm wondering if there is any kind of update. I know that's a legislative requirement that's in the future, and I'm just wondering what the staff level communications with other municipalities might be on how we take the approach to the accessibility committee in the Valley as a whole.
Thank you, through the chair, to your worship. That what you've listed is correct. So the approach that the Valley has taken so far is to create one accessibility committee that can satisfy the legislative requirements for the entire Valley. That decision was reached after consultation at a staff level and both in the community, rather than trying to have numerous accessibility committees meeting across the Valley, because of the feeling that it was going to be the same people attending the meetings everywhere. So far, the regional district just recently passed its accessibility framework. We at the town of Comox intend to bring this to council in the very near future, probably your next regular meeting or the meeting after that. And at that point, you'll have the opportunity to look through the framework. And the determination of the membership in the committee, which I think is what this letter is asking, does include requirements for it to represent the community, for it to have different needs, and for it to have a certain percentage of people who have accessibility requirements in order to sit on it. So you'll have the opportunity to see this, if not at your next regular meeting, I believe the meeting subsequent.
Okay. Okay, and would there be any challenge with me or staff forwarding just the letter just to share with the forming body that's doing that regional, just so that, you know, there's not a group missed if they should be under consideration for sitting on it?
Yeah, we can pass this along.
Okay, I can just make a note of that. Thank you for that update. I wasn't sure if it was regional or not, but that's great. Thank you. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you, CAO Wall. Is there any other letters in the consent agenda that would like to be pulled for discussion? Councillor Kerr.
Jay,
Jay, second. Thank you. Go ahead.
thank you. So this is the one that deals with the youth parliament request. And I was just wondering, maybe to the CAO, if that might be something we could refer to our Comox Youth Council. That's under leadership of our recreation department, and or consider should it be sent to our local schools, the high schools. Thanks.
Thank you. We can pass it along to both of those places.
Thank you, Councillor Kerr. That seems like an excellent opportunity for some young person to attend the youth parliament down in Victoria. Councillor Mayer.
Sorry, I was just going to ask if it also got forwarded on.
It hasn't yet, but we can include that in the list.
Great, thanks.
Okay, do we have any other consent agenda items that'd like to be pulled? Mayor Minions. Yes.
Yes, if I can please pull or get a seconder on the letter from Wayne, Julie, and Carrie in regards to the letter sent on the error in the housing requirements letter. I can get a seconder on that.
Yep, seconded by Councillor Hazlitt. Go ahead.
Perfect. I was just hoping again to get a clarification or kind of proposed follow-up with that. I was kind of looking at the different numbers and seeing where that lay. There was quite a few stats in there, and it looks like one of the numbers is off. So just wondering if that had been corrected in past, or if to get corrected and just like an updated letter to the ministry that would have to come from council. So just wondering if there's any update from CAO Wall on the letter. I know that was going back a couple weeks. So
Thank you.
with the seconder, sorry, I think I need a seconder on that.
So thank you, Mr. Chair, through to your worship. I think the update and the stats are correct in the letter. They did identify a mistake, the letter that's been written into us. They did identify a mistake in the letter that we had written. It's something that we did identify before. We've had in-person meetings both with the provincial ministry and the federal ministry on these, and we've been able to talk about the impact to the town of Comox with the correct figures. So they are aware of the correct potential impact to the town of Comox, not the one that had the mistake in the letter we originally sent.
Okay, that was my understanding also. So thank you for providing that.
Councillor Mayer, you have a question?
Thank you. Just a follow-up question. And I apologize because I think I've asked this before, but do we have an update from the regional district on when our next housing needs assessment will be updated?
There's work being done to complete that, and it's taking place right now.
Sorry, is there like a completion?
I don't have an estimated completion time, but I believe the regional planning teams met on it as recently as yesterday, so it's an active file.
Okay, thank you for that. Are there any further items to be pulled out of the consent agenda? If not, we'll move on to unfinished business from our previous meeting. And the first item is the Comox Valley Land Trust. You'll remember that we had a delegation from the Land Trust, and their slides are included with your agenda package for this meeting. The Comox Valley Land Trust has a request to become a referral agency for the town of Comox, meaning that they would be privy to or ask for input with respect to all development applications going through our planning office. Do we have any motion on this item, or are we going to just move on? Councillor Mayer.
I'd be happy to make a motion. We may need to, do we have to first though? Nope, just make a motion. So I can put forward a motion that the Comox Valley Land Trust be included as a referral agency in all major rezoning applications and any other land use related decisions where their expertise would be deemed helpful.
Any discussion? Councilor Grant.
I'm just wondering, we're working really hard to speed up our processes here. Is this going to cause any delays or take longer to do? Because when I look at this, I'm not sure, like, if we ever run into a problem with any of this, or, you know, I'm not against doing it. I just don't want to have it take 5 and 6 and 8 months to get through.
Thank you. So including any group in as a referral doesn't take any more time. You know, it really is as simple as just adding an email address to a distribution list. Now, the outcome of that referral may end up taking more time. That's not something I can predict. It has the potential to speed things up as well. You may have items being caught that would have been caught later in the process earlier and allowing things to be dealt with in a more timely manner. It may bring up things that may not have been identified otherwise and result in slowing down the process. So it's impossible to say, I think, what will happen to timelines with more groups included as a referral agency, but simply referring it to another agency doesn't take any more time.
Mayor Minions, you had a comment?
Yeah, I just wanted to speak briefly in favor of adding them to our list of referrals. It's already going out to quite a few people, and just talking to Courtney and Cumberland, who they've been working with for close to a decade on it. It hasn't slowed down things as the deadlines stay pretty much the same. Obviously, if something comes up that's of concern, that obviously changes timelines. But as far as giving them a deadline to respond with important information that may or may not come out later anyways, I think it's just a good due diligence step to give us all the information we need. And it doesn't seem like for the last year or so, we've asked people to do it voluntarily, and it doesn't sound like that kind of voluntary approach is working. So knowing that the deadline is a specific date, I would hope that that would mean that there wouldn't be huge delays, but that potentially we get that extra level of information that really we would want developers to have in their hands also. So I just wanted to speak in favor of adding it to the list without adding any time additions.
Sorry, Councilor Hazlitt?
Maybe I could just get a little clarification on this. In the event that we pass this and the Comox Valley Land Trust becomes a referral agency, information goes out to them. They come back with a report stating they found something that they want the developer to look at. What would happen in the event that the developer also has an outside agency that they employ that comes back with contradicting information? What would we end up doing in that situation?
So the Comox Valley Land Trust and a number of the other referral agencies, so I won't speak about them specifically, but I'll just speak about some of the referral agencies. We have the statutorily required referral agencies that have statutory powers when examining land use decisions. So their sort of calculations and decisions in the process will make an impact. Otherwise, what you have for the most part are interested parties who are able to provide information and expertise as they see. It does not necessarily mean just because you have something submitted by a referral agency, even if it's with a registered professional, that the developer needs to take that into account. You can run into the scenario where you have two registered professionals in the same field with the same credentials telling you two different things. And if that is what happens, ultimately it's the statutory decision maker who's going to have to resolve that. And that's the province in almost every case, is the province is going to have to make a determination as to how they're going to deal with the conflicting evidence.
Okay, I see no more councillors wishing to make a comment, so I will call the question. All those in favor of the motion? And opposed to the motion? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. So moving on, our next item of unfinished business was with respect to the Build Age Friendly Communities partnership on grant application. You can see in your package that we are calling here, looking for a motion that council authorize the application for grant funding through the 2023 Ministry of Health's Age Friendly Communities program to complete the Comox Valley Early Years Collaborative Building Age Friendly Communities project. Moved and seconded. Any discussion on this? Perhaps anyone? Perhaps CAO Wall, you could remind us of this project and what it relates to.
Yeah, so this project was brought to council, I think, a few weeks ago for a grant application to help do studies on, you're stretching my memory here, but I believe it was age recreational opportunities for people as they age, as well as cross age interactions. So, you know, connecting elderly with youth and those sort of opportunities. The council was, and just add on that, council was supportive of the project. What you had checked with us is whether or not there was going to be any issues with us managing the grant, and I can report back is we don't have any concerns with acting as a flow through for this granting or for this granting for this agency.
Well, great. Hearing that, I will call the question. All in favor? Any opposed? None opposed. Motion carried. Thank you. Our third item of unfinished business, and this perhaps might just be for a staff update, is with respect to the sewer and water connections along Lazo Road for Mr. Shaw's residence and secondary suite. He appeared as a delegation, and I'm just checking in here with staff on any, has there been any follow-up with Mr. Shaw on this issue?
Thank you. We have spoken with Mr. Shaw. We remain waiting for information on the location of the conveyance project and where the pipe is going to be. Depending on where the pipe is, will determine what the cost to the town is going to be for installing our services at the same time. So once that is better understood, we'll have an idea of what the cost of this project is going to be. The preliminary indications from the CVRD is that the their pipe is going to be located on the other side of the road, which will not create ground disturbance and openings for us to install our own services at a decreased cost.
Okay, well, I think we're good there. So we have no special reports or bylaws to be adopted tonight. Next item is item 10, new business. First up is A, the 2023 permissive tax exemption bylaw. This will establish our 2024 tax roll exemptions for permissive tax roll exemptions for our tax bills coming up this May. We have our goal here is to give 3 readings to the bylaw as written. And then we will also, if I could get a motion that the Comox permissive tax exemption bylaw number 2026 2023 be given first reading. All in favor? Or do we have discussion first? Okay, let's discuss these first. So we have a number, you know, written in the permissive bylaw package. We have a number that have been flagged as potentially that might potentially be looked at as far as making changes from the previous year. So does any councillor want to raise any of these going forward?
Thank you. And I also just want to bring council's attention to an email that was sent recently regarding a request from the Comox Golf Club to have their exemption increased to 100% of the land and 100% of improvements. The increase in this exemption would be about $10,600 per year.
Yeah, so just in looking at these, when you look at things like the golf course, and I put the Legion in fairly closely, they're sort of two sides of the same coin here. That money that we give has to be made up across our tax base if we give those exemptions. And to me, when I look at the Legion, and I don't know, I'm open to discussion on it, but they're running a pub that is a pub no different than any other pub in our town, and yet getting a $10,000 tax break because they changed their use on it from being a Legion. So in that case, you know, when I look at the Comox Golf Course, I can kind of make a case either way, but you know, they do have a pub and a golf shop that they're selling to the general public and making money just like every other business. So, you know, and I'm kind of stuck in the middle on this one a little bit, but, you know, I think you need to take that into account, that this is made up by other taxpayers in town. If we give it to them, also, there's other businesses that are selling their goods and not getting the same break. So you need to think of that as you're going through this.
Mayor Minions?
Thank you. I just wanted to clarify 2 questions. With the current third 3 readings that we would be doing, would that be keeping the golf course at the it was roughly 6,000 and not the 16,000 exemption? And then the second part to that question is the Comox Valley Affordable Housing Society, where we look at doing 100% of the exemption because now the building is built. Is that also included as, you know, that if we give them 100% and pass the reading, that matches also? So is it the old golf club or what they're requested that's in the motion, just to clarify?
Thank you. So the current bylaw, as it reads in front of council, is, and with the motion on the table, would have the golf course only receiving, I believe was 76%. So you'll need to make an amendment if you wish to move it to 100, and the Balmoral housing property will have an exemption of 100%.
I can't hear you anymore. I'm not sure if it stopped.
Sorry, did you hear the first answer on the golf course?
I didn't know, for some reason the mic stopped working.
So the golf course, as it's written in the bylaw right now, would only exempt 76%. So if council wishes to provide the 100% exemption, you'll need to make an amendment to the bylaw. The Balmoral property is exempted 100% as it has been in the past, although not the last year. So the Balmoral property will receive 100% exemption.
Okay. And just a quick last question while I have my mic off muted. It is an option to do a percentage of Legion. Like if we were making a change, it could be a 50% coverage or other. It doesn't have to be 0 or 100. It can be a compromise.
Correct. You could give us direction to provide an exemption on the value outside of the business. So the valuation on the business will be stipulated in their assessment. So you can just tell us to not include that in the exemption. We will go and figure out what that number is, and we'll bring it back to you at the next meeting.
Okay, I'll just wait for further discussion on that. Thank you.
Councillor Grant?
Yeah, so another thing, just in looking at the Legion one, and I guess you could maybe do the same on golf courses, you could actually say, we'll give you the exemption this year, but in following years, it will, we'll take that portion out or revert to what it was, so that you can, you've got some options here, I guess, for the point, if you don't want to, you know, the Legion to me is a bit bothersome because it is operating as a pub, so, but, you know, I get that they need the money too, so, you know, something you could do is look at that and say, for this year, we'll give you the exemption, but next year we won't. So we could do that type of thing as well.
Well, I would note that the bylaw under consideration right now as written states that this is Article 14 of the bylaw says the owned by the Royal Canadian Legion Branch 160 shall be exempt from property value taxation for the year 2024 on all of the value on all land and improvements for the property. And it's a 3-lot property there at the corner. So that would include the pub as written. Councillor Mayor.
I think for the Legion, I'd love to just chat with them and understand what the financial impact would be before making any big move there. So I'd be in favor of approving it this year and just seeking more information from them. With the golf course, I feel open to further discussion about approving it this year, and we think those conversations are ongoing.
Councillor Hazlitt and then Councillor Kerr.
Two questions here. With the Balmoral affordable housing property, was that a tax exempt property during construction, and was it meant to continue on after the building was open?
Yeah, we actually, UBCM was very enlightening because we had the chance to meet with BC Assessment and find out what happened in that case. So what we had originally received from BC Assessment was that during the construction, it loses its exemption, and then after construction, it gets it back. During UBCM, we met with BC Assessment and were able to talk to somebody who specializes in this area. And what actually happened was the Balmoral property, when the community charter was created, it was given a statutory exemption under the community charter for the value of its improvements. That statutory exemption continues until it's redeveloped. And the town had always carried through the exemption on the land because it was statutorily exempted through the community charter. When it redeveloped, it lost its statutory exemption. And because our bylaws only exempted the land, it didn't get the exemption on the value of the building. So we've corrected that, and it's been corrected and updated in this bylaw. We are working and have had discussions with the CVRD on what we can do to return the value of those taxes to that group, but it's going to need to come back to council for discussion. So it was an old piece of sort of obscure legislation that nobody in the valley really understood, and it when it redeveloped, it got triggered and nobody caught it. And fortunately, during UBCM, we were able to catch it and get it fixed for this year, because otherwise we would have continued as it was previously.
Thank you. And then for the golf club and the Legion, it's more of a comment. I think I'd be open to agreeing with what we have proposed this year, and with the golf course offering them more exemption there that we're looking for. But I think that we need to look at this again next year. I don't think it's fair that we're providing some businesses relief when we're not offering to everybody else. So with the Legion, I understand, obviously they've made quite a lot of changes over the last little while, so I can understand they're looking for a bit of a break, and I know that the golf course as well. They've had some tough years with COVID and that, but they're starting to ramp things up. So I do think that we need to look at this again, but I'd be in favor of offering the exemptions to those two groups. Is there not a motion on the floor?
We have a motion on the floor, so I would ask that we either defeat that, or we either you propose an amendment to that motion, then we can vote on that. Or we defeat that motion and start over and go through them one by one.
Thank you. I think right now we're on first reading, so I recommend that council adopt the first reading and then the second reading on the floor, and then make your amendments during second reading.
Okay, are we good with that? Let us do that. Let's call the question. All in favor of the first reading? Passes unanimously. Thank you. And now I'd like to call for a motion that the Comox Permissive Tax Exemption Bylaw number 2026, 2023 be given second reading.
I agree with that, with the amendment that the Comox Golf Club be given 100% of the tax exemption they're looking for, as well as the Legion be given the tax exemption. And we look at this again next year to decide what's appropriate at that time.
Okay, just to clarify, are you saying 100% of land and buildings for the Courtney Golf Club Limited?
Yes.
Or 76% of land, 100% is buildings?
100%.
Okay. So that is your amended motion. Okay. Do we have a seconder for Councillor Hazlett's amended motion? Councillor Grant, second. Discussion, please. Councillor Kerr.
So just looking at kind of the purpose of these, you know, property tax exemptions are provided by the town for, you know, organizations that, you know, provide things like art and culture, economic development, recreation, public safety. I guess with respect to the Legions specifically, I'm just curious, what is done with their profit? Does it go back in the community? Are they providing some charitable services? You know, again, without an understanding of what they do with their profit, I'd just be wary of, you know, granting it without that knowledge. So maybe that's a question to the chair, to town staff, and if we don't know that information tonight, maybe it's something we need before we make a decision on this. Thanks.
I don't have any information I can share.
Okay. Any further comments on the amended motion?
Online.
Go ahead, Mayor Minions.
Thank you. I just wanted to comment on both the Legion quickly and then the golf club. I think with the Legion, we should have a further discussion. I think the implication of taking away the permissive tax exemption on the pub without at least giving them that 1 year would probably be not the right decision. And we do have to pass this, I think, in a timely fashion. So I would suggest that I would vote against the amendment based on the golf club, which I'll talk about shortly, but I do think we should go offline with the Legion and determine in the next month or two with possible CAO Wall and myself having a conversation with them about what their revenue looks like, where the profits go, kind of the questions that have come out of tonight. As far as the golf club kind of giving the additional 11,000, I definitely think we should give them the current 7,000, but that additional 10,000 would have to go back on to other businesses and residents depending on the mix. And I think that there is that business component there and other businesses should not carry that. So I vote against the amendment. And as far as the Legion, I just think we need to have a conversation offline and have a decision made ASAP, but keep theirs the same for now and not have any surprises on their budget. So I would vote for the original reading we passed. Thank you.
Yep. If I may make a suggestion, Council, I suggest breaking your amendments now into two, where you're dealing with the Legion on one and the golf course on the next. So if it sounds to me, Mayor Minions, if that's a request from you that you'd like to deal with those two items separately.
Yeah, I think it probably makes sense to deal with them separately as
Okay.
there may be different viewpoints on each of those separately.
Thank you. So when you're in a situation like this, Council, where you have a group motion and somebody requests to deal with the items individually, it automatically gets peeled off to be dealt with individually. So now you have a motion on the table to have the second reading of this bylaw with an amendment to the Legion for it to, no, so sorry, you're looking to not amend the Legion. So that wouldn't even be an amendment.
I don't know that it actually needs to be separated. It depends on other people's viewpoint. It might not hurt to separate them at this point, just to have clarity.
I'm just trying to think of what the motion would be, because so we'll take the motion then to say that the Legion's exemption remain as per the bylaw. And then council can debate that.
Sure. Yes.
Councillor Grant.
Thanks. So, Jordan, is there any time specification that you need this done by? What I'm thinking is if you pass first reading and or second, you've always got third reading to come back to. If we didn't pass that tonight, that could bring us back to another meeting where we could actually deal with it with a little more knowledge.
Yeah, maybe I'll look back to our acting CFO, Mr. Creek. When do we need to have this adopted by? And I think the second question, if either you or Director Rushworm is aware, if we make changes, do we need to repost? Because we do have notification that needs to be done for these exceptions. So if either of you could answer those questions, it'd be appreciated.
The bylaw needs to be passed by October 31st, so we can get a DC assessment, so put it in their role. Then I'll shoot over to Shelley for the expert.
And yes, the, if there are any changes to the bylaw, then it can be published.
So with the timelines that we're looking at, what we would do then is likely just schedule a special meeting, or we could possibly look at getting you the information that you need, adding a very short special meeting to your strategic planning meeting next week, dealing with this right away at 5 o'clock and then moving into strategic planning. I think that probably makes the most amount of sense. So we're not having to schedule a meeting. So there's plenty of time. If council wants to take a look at this and get some more information, we can do so.
Councillor Grant.
So if we pass first reading and didn't pass second or third reading, we could bring this back next week and then do that thing. Is that the correct way to do it?
So if you pass first reading, second reading, that's fine. Or if you just pass first reading, that's fine as well. That's right. Yeah. That's something that council can do. That's an option, yes.
Okay, well, given that we are going to be looking for a bit more information with respect to both the Legion and the golf course requests for ongoing permits and tax exemptions, I believe we will call the question now and vote on the motion as amended.
So just so council's aware, right now, the motion that you have on the floor is to keep the Legion exemption at 100%. The reason why I was a little bit cautious before is you usually don't construct those motions, because if you defeat that motion, what does that mean to what's in the bylaw? But what we'll interpret this as is if this motion's defeated, the bylaw will stay as it is. And then council can make a decision on how you want to move forward after.
Okay. That's my understanding as well. All in favor? Opposed? Motion defeated. And we will table this discussion till our strategic planning meeting next week.
Just before we move on from that, if I can get maybe just a little bit of clarity. So council, from the Legion, what you're looking for is an explanation on where their funds are used. And from the golf course, I believe you have the financial information. So you're just wanting to receive the Legion information to be able to look at that at the same time in context with the information you have from the golf course. Is this correct?
That was my understanding.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move on in the agenda now. We're going to move to 10B, the disposal of the fire department aerial truck. And we are looking for a motion that the sale of the fire department's 2002 aerial truck to the Comox Valley Regional District, designated for use by the Oyster River and Mount Washington Fire Departments for the price of $62,500, be approved. Moved Councillor Grant, second Councillor Kerr. Any discussion? Thank you, Chief Schreiner, for your report on this issue. I would like to call the question. All those in favor? Contrary minded? Motion passes unanimously. Goodbye, fire truck. Item C, 2023 financial plan amendment. This is with respect to the wildfire deployments. Now, I think we should probably ask for these in succession, or okay. So we're looking for a motion that Comox financial plan bylaw number 2019-2023 be amended as follows in response to the 2023 wildfire deployments impacting the Comox Fire Department. A, that we increase revenue by approximately $710,000. B, that we increase operating expenses by approximately $275,000. C, that we allocate approximately $235,000 to special projects. And D, that we add approximately $200,000 to the fire department capital reserves.
I'll move that.
Any discussion on this? Again, Chief Schreiner, thank you for your comprehensive report with respect to these items, and I know I can speak for myself and the rest of council that we were very proud to see Comox Fire Department assist in the wildfires in the interior this year. Councilor Grant.
Oh, no. Ken has a question.
Sorry, Councilor Mayor.
It's okay, thank you. And I'm super appreciative of all of this as well. I just wanted to hear about this special project. I wasn't finding it in the report.
Thank you. It's when we were transferring over the reports, it got cut. There's, you'll have it in email, but I will maybe just turn it over to Chief Schreiner and he can highlight what the money will be used for.
Right, through the chair, thank you for that. Yeah, as CO Wall mentioned, we missed a little section when we were doing the rebuild of our document. But the special projects include a purchase of a new pickup truck, which is required for us to take our trailer on the wildfire deployments. We have that pickup truck in our 2024 capital plan that's been in there for a year or two. That will come out because we'll be able to afford to buy it with cash from this proceeds that we've got here. So that's one item. The other item would be, or another item would be $30,000 for replacing some of the existing wildfire equipment. So busy summer, there's lots of wear and tear on some of the equipment. We need to replace and upgrade some of the items. $30,000 to purchase battery operated tools for the new aerial we expect to receive in the next 2 or 3 months. So to get rid of some of the small gas motor equipment on the truck and replace it with battery operated stuff. And then $35,000 for what we call community safety programs. And over the last few deployments, we've funded community safety programs through the fire department. And what that looks like is we give out free smoke alarms. So we would put about $10,000 in the free smoke alarms. We subsidize disaster kits, so earthquake type kits. What we do is we buy them, we sell them at a bit of a loss, and we get the leverage on that. And we do the same with wildfire sprinkler protection kits. To the community. These have all been very successful projects and kind of put some of this money back in our community. And the last little item on there is $5,000 to subsidize our AED program, automatic external defibrillator. The Fire Department Association has funded about 40 of these in the last 15 years throughout our community. But believe it or not, there's still a request for more and more, and they're getting a little bit behind in the requests. So this will help out with another 2 or 3 AEDs.
Thank you.
Great. Well, thank you for that, Chief Schreiner. I'd like to now call the question on the motion that we approve these changes to the funds. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you. Next item, first reading, Comox Financial Plan Bylaw number 2019.01, 2023, given first reading, moved by Councillor Grant, second by Councillor Hazlitt. All those in favor? Thank you. And second time, Comox Financial Plan Bylaw number 2019.01, seconded second reading. All those in favor of second reading? Any opposed? Carried. Comox Financial Plan Bylaw number 2019.01 be given third reading. Moved by Councillor Grant, second by Councillor Hazlitt. All those in favor? It's carried unanimously. Thank you. Moving on, item D, 2023 UBCM Community Emergency Preparedness Funding. We're looking for a motion that the town's application for the 2023 UBCM Community Emergency Preparedness Funding, specifically the Volunteer and Composite Fire Department's equipment and training stream, be approved, and that administration be directed to provide overall grant management of this funding award. Moved by Councillor Grant, seconded by Councillor Mayer. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you. That brings us to item E, 10.E. This is with respect to units or pad number 3 at 980 Anderton Road. We're looking for a motion that the outstanding taxes, penalty and interest for number 3980 Anderton Road be written off. Moved by Councillor Grant, seconded by Councillor Kerr. Any discussion on this issue? I think in our package, it was presented very clearly. Thank you to Jeffrey Creek, our CFO, for putting that together. And I would now, seeing no further discussion, call the question on this one. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. That was carried unanimously. We have no notices of motion tonight, but we do have some correspondence. In correspondence 12.A, there's a letter from Trina McLean, Town of Comox Park Department, request for International Bat Week proclamation, looking for a motion that the proclamation request from Trina McLean, Town of Comox Parks Department, in support of International Bat Week on October 24th to 31st, 2023 be approved. Moved by Councillor Grant, seconded by Councillor Mayer. Any discussion on Bat Week? So it's a very good week for bats, October 24th to 31st. And again, congratulations to Tim Ennis and everyone who's made, of course, Comox one of the first bat-friendly community in the province of British Columbia. And all in favor of the motion on the floor? Sorry, Mayor Minions.
We're the only bat-friendly community on Vancouver Island, but not the province, not the clarify.
Thank you for that correction. We don't want to say things that are not correct.
Sorry.
So, all those who approve the proclamation? All in favor? Yes. Any opposed to the proclamation? Motion approved unanimously. Let Bat Week commence on October 24th. Number 13, late items. Number 14, we'll have reports from members of council. As per our recent discussions, let's try and keep these reasonably brief, and we'll go this direction around the table. Councillor Hadley.
I attended UBCM with a number of other councillors. Definitely lots of information to unpack from there. Hopefully we've all done a good job of not only scaring some money for the community, but also bringing back some good ideas so we can help the town.
Councillor Mayer.
I also attended UBCM. I have nothing else to report. Thanks.
Councillor Grant.
So I also went to UBCM. We had an RD meeting and a sports commission meeting, and there's not really a lot to discuss on those. I'll pass it on.
Councillor.
Thank you. A quick update from the Vancouver Island Regional Library Board. We across the region, there's an average increase of 3.4% to communities for library costs. But fortunately, Comox was below that, just a 2% increase in the levy to Comox, which is encouraging. And just for those listening out there, the value of a library card is estimated to be $733. So that's kind of the value you get per year for having and using a library card. Just want to say a big thank you to Wing Commander JP Gagnon and Captain Rock Veilleux for organizing the tour of the base and the squadrons this past week. And finally, just some good news for the Valley. There's 75 new daycare spaces being planned for the North Island College campus in conjunction with their daycare early childhood educator program. And it was great to be a part of that groundbreaking ceremony last week. Thanks.
Mayor Minions.
Thank you. Make this quick. The point in time count results came out today. So I was discussing with the coalition and with Bob Wells and Mayor Vicky Brown from Cumberland. It'll be posted live in the next 2 days, but I'll email that information out. So that's been kind of been waited for since the count was done in March, and the last time it was done was 2020. So there is some interesting information in that point in time count just giving some idea of where things are with our unhoused population in the valley. So I'll share that out either tonight or tomorrow morning with council. I attended the North Island College announcement of the Early Childhood Education Center, as Councillor Kerr mentioned. The military base visit, which they really stressed that 100 years is, May 2024 is the RCAF, our Royal Canadian Air Force's 100th year anniversary. So they'll be looking at doing a very big air show in Comox next May. So there's more information to come on that. But it was just really interesting hearing about how their base is in fact growing in numbers and not shrinking. So just around housing, around services, getting kind of that 5 or 6 hour orientation around the base, what they do, and that they are, in fact, I thought they were possibly kind of going down in numbers, but they're actually planning on increasing in numbers as some of their new equipment comes in. So that was a very eye-opening, kind of enlightening tour, and attended UBCM with the rest of you and tried to summarize it this week for the record, was asking questions on who we met with, what we did. So I'll forward you kind of what was said there and hopefully summarized our couple days in Vancouver in that discussion with the record. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Minions. For myself, I also attended UBCM, my first one, and certainly got a lot out of the experience. I would just a quick reminder to our business community in the downtown Comox business area that we have an event tomorrow morning. There is a 7:30 a.m. early start breakfast above the Mill Bistro, and the topic will be leveraging technology to grow your bottom line. So any business people out there who might hear this and have not yet registered, you can get involved. And October 12th, next week, there is going to be a general business association, a mixer at the Beaufort Pub in the Legion basement. So that's it for me. I also enjoyed the CFB Comox tour, and certainly it was a great to see what goes on there, because those of us who are not in the military rarely get a glimpse into what is going on base. It's very educational for us. So now we move to questions from the media. I see no media representatives here. We have time for public questions if there's any from the gallery. Ms. Steele, if you'd like to come up and answer a question here at the mic.
Jenny Steele, Finance Director from Comox Golf Club. About the permissive tax exemption, we had submitted a whole package to the town in May as required, requesting 100% permissive tax exemption. It didn't make it into the package, I think, because of some personnel changes that you had. So I feel that our case has not been fully considered, and I'd like the opportunity to present that case to council. I'm not sure. You're talking about reviewing this next week. Am I allowed to do a delegation next week? So I can go through what the case is that we're making.
I think a delegation, we've received the materials, and we did receive them late. So you are correct.
No,
Yes, we did.
But we put them in on that.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
So I think that perhaps we could meet sort of out of camera, or sort of out of this room this week.
If we could, that would be great.
And have a clear discussion about
Absolutely, because there are some points we feel that were made today that did not properly reflect where we're coming from and why we need it.
Yeah. So
and the other precedents in the Comox Valley that do get these events.
Exactly. So we will certainly have a discussion in advance of our meeting next week.
Okay. But again, I'll leave it there. I just you put me in a bad spot as to how I'm able to kind of put a case to the whole committee. And then minions will be at that meeting.
I would hope so.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
I look forward to it.
Any further questions? Okay, we are now at sort of the end of our written agenda for the afternoon. We now need a resolution to go in camera and exclude the public from the remainder of the meeting. I would just read out that the public needs to be excluded from the in-camera session of council on Wednesday, October 4th, 2023, pursuant to the following subsections. Section 90 of the Community Charter. That's 1C, labor relations or other employee relations, and 1E, the acquisition, disposition, or expropriation of land and improvements if the council considers that disclosure could reasonably be expected to harm the interests of the municipality. All in favor of moving in camera? Any opposed? None. Motion carried. Thank you. We will now clear the room with all except for CO, and thank you all for coming.
Should take